Let's get salty!
Everyone, Zeddy here again today with a brand new video, and could you ever guess? Could you guess that this would happen? Hearthstone has another problem. Another class is completely out of control after Paladin got gutted and was out of control. We're just less than a week away from the latest balance patch, but we already got like tweets from like Sacco from Vicious Syndicate calling for an immediate hotfix because the situation is so dire. And yeah, it's looking pretty bleak. The Demon Hunter situation is pretty crazy. We're going to go over the numbers, what you can do to try and counter it, what needs to be done about said problem, and how did this all happen. We're going to go through all of that. And if you enjoy the content on the channel, and if you feel like I've earned your subscription, please hit that sub button down below. Give the video a like, it helps us out a lot. So looking at the front page here, you can see Paladin no longer top dog since the nerfs. But yes, Demon Hunter way above everybody else. Even the second class in Hunter is at 54%, 4% higher across all ranks, with only 4 classes being 50% or higher. But as we know, front page stats aren't exactly great, just kind of a general indicator. But if you look at the Hearthstone meta itself, it kind of sums things up. Aggro Demon Hunter listed as the only tier 1 deck in Legend ranking. If you go to top 1000 Legend, same deal here. We actually only have 4 decks listed as having a positive win rate, which I don't think is accurate. Sith Mage, Wheel Warlock are really good. They're playable decks, are competitive, rank 1 capable, but Legend's got a bit of a better idea here. Got Wheel Warlock. Surprised that Rainbow Mage hasn't got higher. It's been like the deck of choice for a lot of high Legend players. So it's not like it's just aggro Demon Hunter, but you take a look across all ranks, it is just brutal. I'm curious to see Bronze through Gold. Actually, yeah, Spell Token Hunter is higher because it's just easier to play. Punish those decks even more. But yeah, Diamond through Legend, it's aggro DH, Legend. As the ranks go higher, the aggro Demon Hunter becomes more elusive or more at the higher end of things. So how did this happen? How did this happen where aggro Demon Hunter is so good? And actually, I just want to show you guys donkey.top, where it's another site that collects data and all of this. At Diamond through Legend, since the patch, they list the top decks so far in through Diamond through Legend. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 of those decks are variants of aggro or like tempo Demon Hunter. That's it. Those are the 11 decks. And then you got Wheel Warlock, and then 3 more aggro Demon Hunters are on the top. Like, it is dominant. At least Diamond through Legend. At Legend, it's only the very highest that I've seen. Like, yeah, Sith Mage really get there. So again, how do we get to this point? Well, it's important to know when this Vicious Syndicate report came out, it was basically the day of the nerfs. So that was based on the prior data. If you take a look at the only bad matchups at the time aggro Demon Hunter had, there was 2 red things here, right? 2 red. What were they? Aggro Paladin and Odin Warrior, the 2 decks that got nerfed the heaviest. They got absolutely right. Paladin got gutted and Odin Warrior got slowed down. And those were the 2 best counters, the only real counters. There's some like 50-50 matchups here. Like again, Sith Mage does pretty well. Wheel Warlock can compete, but overall it's like it just crushes. So many are like solid green, super favorable matchups. That yeah, we're at this state where its weaknesses are kind of gone, the counters, and the deck is just killing it. And I think my reasoning or my thought why they didn't nerf it ahead of time, I know they had the data. There's no way they didn't see this type of data internally, is that Demon Hunter has been really poor for quite some time. Like, it hasn't been the top. It was actually at the very bottom. It's just a sharpshooter DH that was really good and toxic until to get high Legend, and that got nerfed as well because it was just so unfun. And this is the first Demon Hunter deck to really succeed and be playable. And the problem they're gonna have with this deck is if you look at like the deck itself, its mulligan win rate, and the same goes for Reno Demon Hunter, it is literally just propped up by 1 interaction. Just it, right? If Umpire's Grasp, the weapon that tutors your Window Shopper, which makes it cost 2 less, and then you have Window Shopper all the way down here. You don't want to draw it. You want to get it with the weapon. where that's the broken interaction. Literally the deck is carried by that, where your play win rate is Window Shopper and Umpire's Crest. Nothing else in the deck really matters. Like, yeah, having your one drop is fine, but if you don't get that weapon, you can literally see if the weapon is the only thing that's played, it's propping up your win rate. Everything else brings it down. It is that powerful in interaction, and the one thing they can do to adjust this deck is nerf the weapon or nerf the demon. The other problem they have is with Window Shopper itself. It's super powerful right now, right? There's only 11 demons it can possibly discover, but naturally as mini sets and expansions come along, that pool will increase, making it less consistent. There might be worse demons in there, like hitting Magtheridon, right? That's almost GG most of the time. It's just busted, and when you have a 1 in 11 or 3 in 11 shot at it, it's pretty good. But you even have like the Observer of Myths or whatever. Well, I can't remember what it's called. The guy that gets secrets or getting Illidari Inquisitor when it's the 5-mana version can be extremely powerful. The Lifesteal Taunt can be really powerful because it's double dipped on the discount, right? Like, there's a lot of good hits. There's not a ton of misses. That'll get worse over time. So it's one of these decks that's propped up by one interaction. So if they nerf that interaction, Demon Hunter goes back to being an unplayable class, and we'll have Reddit complaining, you guys complained about Demon Hunter and then they nerfed it, now it's dead. Are you happy? Look what you did to Paladin, right? Like, but it's a clear power outlier. It's holding so much stuff back when all the top decks are bad. They're Demon Hunters. So it's a tough situation. You want Demon Hunter to be a playable class. You want every class to be a playable class. But as it's standing, there's so few counters to it. They're very niche, and it's just destroying everything else. That if you take a look at like popularity, it's already getting to that point where at Legend, it's 18% of the meta. At Diamond 1, it is 32%. 1 in 3 people will face an aggro DH at like Diamond 1, Diamond 2. It is by far the most popular deck because it's the best. People will always play the best deck, right? So you nerf this, there's a best deck, it takes over. Your goal is trying to make it so that you have multiple decks that can do really well as a top tier deck. And right now, we are just seeing the one aggro Demon Hunter deck. So it's a tricky spot, but I do think it's actionable. Like, this is really bad, and typically you would expect the next balance patch probably not to be for like 3 weeks. Like, normally you have 2 weeks after the expansion launch, you get a balance patch. Then 2 weeks after that, there's content. The next Battlegrounds update will be the next thing. Might be duos. We don't know yet, but that typically doesn't come with a balance change. And then 2 weeks after that, we get the next balance patch. 2 weeks after that, it's the mini set. So we might be looking at like 3 weeks of this Demon Hunter meta, and I just don't know if the game can really live with that after we just had a meta that was completely dominated by one class, pretty much a Paladin. Hunter was there too, but it was basically one class, Warrior at higher ranks, and now we're in the same spot with Demon Hunter. I will say, I actually find the Demon Hunter deck a little bit interesting. I actually enjoy playing it, unlike Naga DH and some of these other decks. It's my first enjoyable Demon Hunter deck for me to play since Soul Demon Hunter. I'm not like super upset about it, but it is just too good. It's way too good when you have a card with a 70%, near 70% mulligan win rate. It's literally taken by, like, propped up by one interaction, and the only way to really try and counter this stuff is like Glacial Shards. It's why Mage is doing well. You could freeze with like the 2 mana Excavate card that freezes. You have those 5 mana Elemental that can also gain you a bunch of armor. They have tools to deal with it, but most classes just don't, and that's what's going on here. And Control Warrior is kind of coming back to gain armor. Reno Warrior's doing all right, so there are some strategies, but they're far and few between, and we're just at this state where, yeah, Demon Hunter just super overtuned. People already frustrated. I mean, I could go to the Hearthstone subreddit. You're gonna see a post like, enough right here. We got enough. Expectation versus reality, right? Like Magtheridon being a 6/5 instead of the 12/12, or a 3 mana instead of the 8 mana. It's gonna exist. You're always gonna have those complaints, but again, just like Paladin, I think they're valid. The devs don't make changes otherwise, and I'm hoping that they can make some kind of adjustment now sooner than 3 weeks from now when we get that in-between mini set, in-between Battlegrounds update, because yeah, these numbers are a little bit crazy. So hopefully the next few days we can highlight some gameplay videos with decks that can help you counter this. I'm going to try and climb to Legend with either Reno Demon Hunter, or sorry, Reno Warrior, or like Wheel Warlock. I think Sith Mage works. We've already highlighted a lot of those decks. We'll try and figure something out. But yes, if you're really frustrated by aggro Demon Hunter and it just seems too good, yeah, it just is. It really is. And hopefully something gets done about it. And yeah, it really has to come down to Umpire's Grasp or Window Shopper, whether you reduce the mana sheet, you reduce the stats on this, you up the cost. Something's got to give on one of those cards. The problem is, yeah, it probably kills the class. So it's going to be a tricky one, but it's one thing that I think the Blizzard devs will have to take a look at. Anyways, let me know what you think about this whole Demon Hunter problem and all that stuff down in the comments down below. If you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe. Have a great day and stay salty, my friends.